Hey there, this is 30-06 John, and today what we're going to be doing is reloading a bunch of 45 ACP on the Dillon 550B press. I'm attending a shooting course here next week, so I've been shooting a lot of 45 for practice, and I just want to show everyone how I do it on my press here. If you like this type of content, please subscribe to my channel and please hit the like button. Let's get on with it. Most of my videos I've been using a single stage press or a Lee turret press, but at some point, especially for handgun, you probably want to crank out a lot of ammo. You have to go to a progressive style press. This is a Dillon 550B press. I've had this press for 20 years. I've loaded tens of thousands of rounds through it. And just to go over our reloading components we're using today, I'm using extreme bullets, 45 caliber 230 grain. These are plated lead bullets. Using them for a while, they work pretty good for practice. For powder, I'm using Hodgdon HP 38, the same as Winchester 231. For primers, I'm using CCI large pistol primers. This is more of a semi-progressive press. You have to manually index this. A true progressive press will auto-index. Manual index is sort of nice. If there's a mistake, you could stop the press. The auto-indexing one, much faster, but if you make a mistake, it's a little bit harder to recover from that. One thing about using these types of presses is that you do have to have your full attention on reloading. You do have to make sure you get the proper powder. If you're trying to take phone calls or something like that, it's very easy to make mistakes on a progressive press. Let's start with one cartridge and go through the stages. Slide the cartridge in, sort of spring loaded right there, and then you run the press up where it deprimes it. You go back down, primes it. I'm just doing this one here. Usually I don't check it, but the first couple I always check to make sure the primer is seated just below flush. After that, you manually index it to the next position, the flaring and powder charge. So you just run the handle up. This arm right here throws a powder thrower. And it flares the case and put the powder charge in. What I like to do is always lean over here. Let me move the camera a little bit so we can look down. Just make sure the powder charge looks normal. There's a close-up of the powder charge. The camera's being a little stubborn about focusing. But it's always good to look over and make sure you got one charge of powder. A double charge is the worst case. After the case is charged, you manually index it to the next stage. Pull the bullet on top. Run the bullet up. That is just the seating. It doesn't really crimp it. You need a taper crimp on 45 ACP and 9mm. Then you manually index it to the next stage. Okay, the final stage is the taper crimp. Run the handle up. Oh, I see it's going to bump into my tripod here. Let me move that. You taper crimps it. Manually index it. One loaded round. So what you have to do is get your primers in your primer tray. This is the anvil side up. Get the top of the tray. Make sure it's on tight. Flip it over. Pull it off. Now they're ready to be picked up. Grab your green primer tube. Just pick them up like this. A little bit slow. One of the slower things to do on a Dillon press. There are machines out there that fill these tubes up for you. I don't have one, so this is I do it this way. Once you have your primer tube all filled up with primers, go to the press primer tube. Put the tube of primers there's two sizes primer tube. Plastic tip. The tip with this little cotter pin, pole pin. Stick this side in. All the primers go in. You might have to get the last one pushed down on this little feed tube. Flip this down. This has the low primer alert. Put this little rod here, weighs the primers down. You're ready to go. The powder hopper is filled up with powder. Once again, I'm using Winchester 231, HP 38, 5.3 grains. All right, it's a little dark, but the way this is supposed to go, put your brass in stage 1. Run it up. Deprime. Fully seat it. Manually index. Put another case in. Now you're doing 2 stages at once. Stage 1 is still resizing, depriming, but also in stage 2 we're flaring, putting powder in. Seat the primer. It's always good to check, look inside the case, make sure the powder looks okay. Manually index. Now, third stage here, you put a case in stage 1. Stage 3, you put a bullet in. Run it up. Now you're doing 3 things. Besides stage 1, you're resizing and depriming. Stage 2, you're flaring, putting powder in. Stage 3, you're seating the bullet. Also, always got to remember to seat the primer. Once in a while, I pull them out. Just make sure that the primer's below flush. Now you manually index. Grab another case. Stick it in stage 1. Grab another bullet. Put it in stage 3. Run the handle. Now stage 4, put a taper crimp on it. Seat the primer. Manually index it. Loaded cartridge falls into the hopper. So once you got that far, it's all you're really doing is putting cases in, putting a bullet in, make sure the powder looks okay. Run the handle. Seat the primer. Index, loaded round. So let me finish these up here. Like I said earlier, after I'm done reloading, I always take my loaded rounds, reloaded rounds, put them in here. Make sure they should just plop right in. If they only go in halfway, that means the case isn't properly sized or you don't have enough taper crimp. Make sure the primer is just below flush. Make sure it doesn't stick out the end. And I do that with all my rounds. Now, if you don't have one of these bullet gauges, another way of doing it is by using the barrel of your pistol. So you don't do it just throwing a loaded round in your pistol together. You have to take your gun apart. So take your gun apart, and you might want to wipe off the barrel. The barrel from my 1911. Take your reloaded round. Should just plop right in. Should seat just below the rim of your chamber right there. And all of your rounds should do that. If they don't do that, then either your barrel's really dirty or something wrong with your loaded rounds. If you have some factory ammo, you can always compare your factory ammo. Factory ammo should do this also. For brass, I forgot to mention it. I'm just using range pickup brass. I don't really clean my primer pockets on my 45 reloads. If you want to, you have to, sort of deprime them. It slows up the process. Some people just deprime all their cases first, run them through a tumbler. That cleans out the primer pockets, then start reloading them. Dillon has really good tech support. If anyone has any problems, also, these presses have been around for, like I said, a couple of decades. So there's a lot of YouTube videos out there on how to correct problems. Once you get them set up and get the hang of it, they're pretty easy to crank out a lot of ammo. You can change, this one's set up for 45 ACP. You can change calibers on it. You have to pull out these little pins right here to change out this whole tool head. Also the plate down here at the bottom. Anyhow, that's all I have for today. Once again, if you enjoy this type of content, please subscribe to my channel. Please hit the like button. Thanks for watching. Everyone have a nice day.